Hey guys, welcome to the Max Invest YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing a few big things about Chainlink. I'm going to be talking about Chainlink Keepers and how big I think that these could potentially be into the future. Of course, if you enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, the links are down below in the description, and remember, nothing in this video is financial advice. So let's get into the video. Now, the first thing that I want to show is I want to show a tweet from Chainlink God. Essentially, what Chainlink God said is he said oracles are generalized off-chain agents that extend the capabilities of on-chain smart contracts through trust-minimized services. Chainlink God then extends on this tweet. He says data delivery is an obvious example of this, so we already know that as an oracle, Chainlink is providing data to smart contracts, and this is one of its main value propositions. However, Chainlink God then goes on to say, but this is really only the tip of the iceberg, because when you compare it to the value of off-chain computation, it is very minor. So I'm going to unpack what Chainlink God actually means by off-chain computation here and how big I actually think that this value could get to. As we can see, the crypto oracle here shares the exact same sentiment as Chainlink God. He said there is no reason that the market for secure off-chain data computation from oracles can't be as large or even larger than the market for on-chain computation for blockchains. However, on-chain computation will have far more competition than off-chain computation will have. So, of course, Chainlink God and the Crypto Oracle are making some very big tweets here about how Chainlink's off-chain computation market is going to be very large in the future, and let's unpack what this means. Now, off-chain computation essentially means a few things. It means that Chainlink can actually help in the computation of smart contracts. This includes things like verifiable randomness function, where what Chainlink essentially does is it adds randomness into the smart contract, helps it compute that smart contract, and generates a random outcome. Of course, verifiable randomness would be good for things like on-chain gambling, on-chain lotteries, on-chain video games, and all of those different types of things. However, the main form of off-chain computation is Chainlink's Keepers, and I believe I have gone into Keepers briefly on some other videos. However, we'll take a look at Chainlink's Keepers a little bit more in depth in this video. Essentially, what Chainlink Keepers are meant to do is they're meant to speed up computation. When a smart contract is being computed, they can use Chainlink Keepers to make that smart contract cheaper and quicker. Now, the way that Chainlink Keepers essentially work is that Chainlink will have a decentralized network of keeper nodes. Now, this will mean that there's a bunch of people around the world who are running and operating the Chainlink Keepers. As a direct result, these individuals will be processing all of the transactions of the keepers and doing all of the computation. Now, from my understanding, once they've done all of this computation, they'll post a proof of this computation to Filecoin. Filecoin will then generate all of these proofs and post these proofs back to the smart contract or back to the main L1. Of course, this could be used on different blockchains like Avalanche or Ethereum. So, essentially, all it's doing is it's taking some of the computation load off-chain, doing it by a different decentralized network of Chainlink Keeper nodes, and then settling this back on-chain, which makes it a lot quicker for smart contracts, and anyone can pretty easily use a Chainlink Keeper if they want to. Now, in my opinion, when Crypto Oracle and Chainlink God are discussing this, the main thing that they are talking about is keepers. As we can see in this tweet, Chainlink God says keepers are just beginning their growth curve. So he really does think that these are going to be massive, and the Crypto Oracle shares this same sentiment. Now, in my opinion, I do think both of these actors are overstating this a little bit, and keepers probably won't be quite as massive as what they think. As we can see, the Crypto Oracle says that the market for secure off-chain computation from oracles will likely be as large or even larger than on-chain computation from blockchains. Now, I don't think this tweet makes that much sense for a couple of reasons. The first big reason is that on-chain computation from blockchains is essentially really going out of style right now. Most of the big blockchains are not going to be computing any of their data on-chain in the next 10 years. Now, this matter is quite subjective. However, I am a big believer that all of this computation is going to happen off-chain, and the problem with the Cryptos Oracles tweet is that it's not going to be off-chain computation from oracles. Instead, it's probably going to be off-chain computation from rollups. So, essentially, what I mean by this is that a lot of the big blockchains are pivoting to a rollup-centric roadmap. The biggest example of this is, of course, Ethereum. Ethereum is going to be going down an entirely rollup-centric roadmap. Essentially, the way this works is Ethereum is going to have layer 2s on top of it. These layer 2s are going to compute off-chain computation and then settle it on the main chain. Of course, one of the big things about this is it actually means that these Chainlink Keepers aren't that needed. Of course, a layer 2 could actually then go on to use a Chainlink Keeper to make the off-chain computation even faster, but I would argue that this probably isn't needed. Now, rollups have a very large advantage over Chainlink Keepers. The first big advantage of a rollup is it doesn't actually need validator nodes on top of it. All a rollup needs is a sequencer to process the transaction, and sequencers are a lot better at doing this than validator nodes are. Of course, Chainlink have said that their keepers are run by a decentralized network of nodes, which means that they are essentially paying for consensus, which is a lot more inefficient than a rollup model where they essentially have a sequencer and they just inherit Ethereum's consensus without actually paying for it. So the first thing that I did want to say about this tweet is that I do think that these Oracle or the off-chain computation market for oracles is probably going to struggle to compete with rollups. Now, the second thing that I want to mention is that the Crypto Oracle said that the market for off-chain computation is going to be greater than the market for on-chain computation. Now, this is entirely correct. Off-chain computation is going to be a lot larger part of a blockchain than on-chain computation is. However, this doesn't actually matter that much because all of this computation is then bundled up and it's settled on the main chain. It's all posted as a proof onto the main chain, and as a direct result, the main chain executes it on-chain, and then there needs to be fees paid on-chain. This still means that the majority of the fundamental value will accrue to the main chain. Essentially, in my opinion, the Crypto Oracle is kind of implying here that things like Chainlink will actually become even bigger than Ethereum. However, most of the value will still accrue to Ethereum during off-chain computation, and this is because it's all settled on the main chain, which essentially means that all of the value is mainly accruing to the main chain. Of course, the main chain does technically need to pay for off-chain computation. However, off-chain computation needs to pay a lot more for main chain settlement and execution. So those were a few points that I had to make about Chainlink Keepers. I do like to see that Chainlink Keepers are coming out and a lot of people are getting excited about them. However, currently not that many people are using Chainlink Keepers, and I would like to wait to see if any more proof that they're going to work properly. Of course, I'm unbelievably bullish on Chainlink, and Chainlink does do a range of services that are very fundamentally important. Of course, even if the Chainlink Keepers don't work 100% for Chainlink, well, Chainlink is still probably going to be a multi-$100 billion network, and I am still very confident in all of the other services it provides. However, this is just one of the things that I'm a bit more skeptical of right now because of the competition with the layer 2s on top of Ethereum, and then the fact that most of the value actually accrues to the execution layer, which isn't exactly Chainlink. Also, another little thing that I just noticed is he said the on-chain computation will have far more competition than the market for off-chain computation, and I actually completely disagree with this, and I think a lot of these layer 2s running off-chain computation are going to be really competing with each other, while the main base layer of on-chain settlement and computation is going to be Ethereum with very little competition. However, this is just my opinion on this tweet. One last thing to mention is that I don't believe these these need to be binary, a Chainlink Keeper can actually work with an application on top of a layer 2 to make the transactions go even faster. All I'm saying is that potentially this won't be needed if the layer 2s are already efficient enough. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching the video.